Henry David Thoreau once said, "It's not enough to be busy, so are the ants. The question is, what are we busy about?" And as a homeschooling family with 5 boys, our lives could easily get filled with all sorts of activities. But we want to make sure that they are the right activities that accomplish what we feel like God has designed our specific family for. And so each year, my husband and I carve out time to sit down together, look at the wins and struggles of last year, and map out what we'd like this year to look like in light of our current family dynamics and what God has put on our heart. If this is something that you'd like to try doing with your spouse, I have a link in the description box that has a framework we like to use as we reflect back and plan ahead. There's a few things that I always like to bring to these meetings: my journal and my calendar from last year. It can be amazing how much can happen in a year that you can totally forget about by the end of the year. So I like to look back through last year's calendar as well as last year's journal. And as we're doing that, we like to thank God for his faithfulness through it all, both the good and the bad. He is always faithful. From reflection, we move on to planning for the year ahead. We touch on key areas of our life and examine where we want to be in a year from now. We then break that down into 12-week goals or a 3-month plan. What areas do we want to focus on over the next 3 months to move us closer to our goals? Then we take it a step further and examine what our weekly rhythms should look like in light of the goals we're working towards. We have found that if we don't do this critical step of looking at our weeks and adding rhythms to our weeks that help us to accomplish those goals, it can be very easy to not get the goals that we want because we're not doing the daily or weekly things to get us there. All of this we're doing over a few mornings before the rest of the day starts. Some families we've found like to make it a weekend getaway, and some do better chatting through things after the kiddos are in bed. But we found that for us, the mornings can be the best time. We've tried all of them. The getaways, the evenings, and mornings seem to be when we are at our best and ready to envision, pray, and plan for the year ahead. We do end up being joined by a boy here or there, but that's the blessing of having littles, and they just join in with us in all of our planning. Once we're done going through our yearly planning guide, we pull out last year's calendar again, and then we start filling in this year's calendar with things like birthdays, activities that we've already committed to, and things that we want to keep on our radar so that when the time does come, we're intentional to make it happen. One example of this would be turkey hunting season. Our oldest is at a hunting age, and he really wants to get himself a turkey this year. So we don't have any exact plans yet, but we do want to keep it top of mind so that when the time does come, we make sure to make it happen. This year, we're trying out something new, and we ordered this massive wall calendar where we can see the whole year at once on. And I wasn't so sure on how we'd like it, but the idea of having everything all laid out in front of us and seeing how events flowed from one month to the next was really appealing to us. And we actually ended up loving it. Not only can we see our whole year all in one place, but it also has the year divided up into quarters, which is so helpful for planning our 12-week sprints or our 3-month blocks of goals that we like to do. And I love that it's really pretty too. It's got these really pretty muted tones to it. It's just a lovely, lovely calendar and has been so helpful so far. I have yet to find something that I don't like about it, other than maybe that it only came with dry erase markers. But thankfully we had some colored permanent markers tucked away, so I used those for filling in birthdays and other commitments. And once we had everything on our calendar that we could think of, and obviously we'll be adding more stuff as the days and weeks go by and as new things get added to our calendar, we hung it in our bedroom, which might seem kind of strange, but we just had this big bare wall in our room, which we just thought would be a great place to have it. And then it keeps it kind of top of mind without being front and center in the rest of our home. And we didn't have anywhere else in our home to put it anyways. You could put this in an office. You could put it in a closet if you have a walk-in closet. Basically anywhere that's going to be most helpful for you, obviously as long as you have the wall space for it. But it works out really well here. And then from there, I did something new this year that I'm actually really excited about. So this big calendar is kind of a new thing, but then I also took our goals and our plans for the year, and I put together what I'm calling maybe like a dream board or a vision board. I guess you could really call it anything that you wanted, but just a visual that I can have to keep, keep my eyes on the goals that we have, if that makes sense. Sometimes when I have stuff written down, goals written down, they don't feel as tangible or as alive, I guess you would say, as when I see maybe a picture of what we're working towards or going towards. And so I sat down, I printed out a bunch of these pictures of all of these things that we want to work towards over this next year, found pictures that I thought worked appropriately for them, and then I just laid them out on this kind of poster board and taped them all over, just so that it looked nice and made sense and all of that. But I just wanted something more visual, and I wanted a way to keep our goals and kind of our dreams for the year top of mind. Sometimes we can find that we do this exercise, but then we tuck it away and then we revisit it in our quarterly meetings, but there's not a daily reminder. And so I thought this might be a great way to have a daily reminder of the goals that we're working towards, of the life that we're wanting to create, and what we're doing this year to work towards creating that. So once I got them all laid out the way that I liked them and taped them up, then I put it up on our wall just right next to our calendar. Again, this was just what worked best for me, given the wall space that we have. Sometimes you can tuck this away in a closet, if that makes sense, or in a bathroom, if that makes sense, in an office, just somewhere that is helpful for you if this is something that you think you might want to try. But it was just a fun little project. I remember being younger and flipping through magazines and cutting out just different things that I liked. And I had even a wedding like box where I put all the things that I want for my wedding one day in them. And anyways, it was just fun to do a collage like this again. And it's been really great so far, having it up on the wall as a visual reminder of what we're working towards. You could do this together with your spouse, or you could do it on your own. I did one just on my own, but most of the things that we're working towards together as a family. My husband obviously has some specific business goals that I'm not as much a part of, but for the most part, we are working together towards these goals. So anyways, I hope this was helpful for you, and let me know in the comments below if you plan to do a yearly planning with your spouse. And make sure to check the description box below, where I'll link a guide that you can use to go over this with your spouse.